Jack Ma Saga. How a ruthless regime crushed China's tech icon. Jack Ma is one of China's most successful and influential entrepreneurs. He founded Alibaba, the e-commerce giant that dominates online shopping in China, and antgroup, the fintech company that operates Alipay, the world's most prominent digital payment platform. He is known for his charismatic personality, philanthropic activities, and outspoken views on various issues. But in October 2020, Jack Ma made a speech that sparked a conflict with the Chinese government, which would have severe consequences for his businesses. In this mini-documentary, we will explore why this conflict arose and what it means for Jack Ma's businesses and relationship with the rest of the world. The origin of the conflict can be traced back to October 24, 2020, when Jack Ma delivered a speech at the Bund Summit in Shanghai, a high-profile financial forum attended by senior government officials and business leaders. In the now-famous speech, Jack Ma criticized China's financial regulation as outdated and stifling innovation. He said China needed a new system to support the digital economy's development and foster entrepreneurship. He also compared China's state-owned banks to pawn shops that relied on collateral rather than credit. Jack Ma's speech did not go down well with the Chinese authorities, who saw it as a challenge to their authority and a threat to their financial stability. They decided to take action against Jack Ma and his businesses, starting with antgroup. Antgroup was preparing for its initial public offering, IPO, which was expected to raise $37 billion, the largest in history. Antgroup had already received approval from the Shanghai and Hong Kong stock exchanges. It was set to list its shares on November 5. But on November 3, 2 days before the scheduled IPO, Antgroup announced that it had received a notice from the regulators to suspend its listing due to significant issues such as the changes in financial technology regulatory environment. The regulators also summoned Jack Ma and other senior executives of Antgroup for a meeting. The suspension of Antgroup's IPO was a huge blow to Jack Ma and his investors, who had expected to cash in on the company's valuation of over $300 billion. It also signaled the beginning of a broader crackdown on China's private sector and internet platforms by Xi Jinping's administration, which aimed to emphasize common prosperity and support for the middle class. The regulators launched an anti-monopoly probe into Alibaba, accusing it of abusing its dominant market position and engaging in unfair practices, such as forcing merchants to choose only one platform for online sales. They also ordered Antgroup to overhaul its business model, which relied on providing loans, insurance, wealth management, and other financial services to hundreds of millions of consumers and small businesses through its Alipay app. The impact of the conflict was felt not only by Jack Ma and his businesses but also by China's economy. Jack Ma's businesses suffered a loss of market value of over $100 billion, as investors feared more regulatory scrutiny and uncertainty. Antgroup's overhaul of its business model meant that it had to reduce its lending activities, which accounted for over half of its revenue, and increase its capital reserves to comply with stricter rules for financial institutions. Alibaba also had to split into 6 significant businesses: e-commerce, cloud computing, digital media and entertainment, innovation initiatives, local services, and overseas operations. These changes affected Antgroup's and Alibaba's profitability and growth potential, and their ability to provide affordable and convenient financial services to millions of Chinese consumers and small businesses with limited access to traditional banking channels. The conflict also reflected the changing dynamics between China's private sector and internet platforms on one hand, and the Chinese government on the other hand. For decades, China's private sector and internet platforms had enjoyed a relatively free space to innovate and grow under the motto of letting some people get rich first. They also contributed significantly to China's economic development, social progress, and global influence. But under Xi Jinping's leadership, the Chinese government has asserted more control over these sectors, aiming to align them with its political goals and national interests. The government has also tightened its grip on information flows and public opinion online, censoring content that it deems harmful or sensitive. The resolution of the conflict came after months of negotiations and concessions from both sides. Jack Ma and his companies tried to appease the Chinese government by paying fines, cooperating with regulators, and offering to buy back shares from investors. Jack Ma also kept a low profile, avoiding public appearances and statements for several months. He resurfaced in January 2021, when he appeared in a video message to a group of rural teachers, praising China's poverty alleviation efforts and expressing his gratitude to the country. The Chinese government signaled its willingness to end the probe into Ant with a fine of almost $1 billion in April 2021, much lower than the maximum penalty of 10% of its revenue. The government also allowed antgroup to resume its IPO under certain conditions, such as obtaining a license to operate as a financial holding company and ensuring compliance with relevant laws and regulations. The conflict between Jack Ma and the Chinese government has been one of the most dramatic and consequential events in China's business and political history. It has exposed the tensions and trade-offs between innovation and regulation, between private interests and public goals, and between individual freedom and social harmony. It has also raised questions about the future of Jack Ma's businesses, China's economy, and its relationship with the rest of the world. Will Jack Ma be able to regain his influence? Will his businesses adapt and thrive in the new regulatory environment? Will China be able to balance its economic growth and social stability? Will China be able to cooperate or compete with other countries in the global arena? Thanks for watching. For more insightful documentaries, hit that subscribe button.